Well, welcome back to our weekly podcast. I'm Ann DeSanza, and I have with me today two young people, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to tell you a little bit about themselves. Go ahead, Vanessa, you go first.
Okay, so I'm Vanessa. I work at Publix, and I'm a medical assistant. I'm a senior in high school, and I want to go to Gainesville and become a nurse.
Very good. And what are you doing in school now? Are you taking college classes or prep classes or?
Yeah, I'll have a year of college when I graduate high school.
Very good, Vanessa. And how about you, Antonio?
I'm a freshman in college. I plan on being a nurse as well. I'm going to go to a community college for now, and then I'm going to move to Gainesville as well and do the same thing as she's doing.
Okay, so you're both headed toward College Town in Gainesville. Okay, very good. Well, I want to let you know that I've had some feedback on our videos, and the last one ran a little bit long, so we're running a timer today, so hopefully it won't go too long. And the other thing is somebody was really inspired to start reading the Gospel of John, and I'm really excited about that. So we're going to continue, unless you young people have any other questions about last week or anything else that has come up? No? Okay, all right, we'll continue. We're in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 35. Again, the next day, John stood with two of his disciples. Now, this is John the Baptist we're talking about. And looking at Jesus, he walked and he said, "Behold the Lamb of God." The two disciples heard him speak, and they followed Jesus. Then Jesus turned, and seeing them following, said to them, "What do you seek?" In other words, what are you looking for? They said to him, "Rabbi," which is translated teacher, "where are you staying?" And he said to them, "Come and see." He was not staying in the Hilton, let me tell you. They came and saw where he was staying and remained with him that day. Now it was about the 10th hour, so 10 o'clock. And he said to them, I'm sorry, I lost my place. One of the two who had heard John speak and following him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first found his own brother Simon and said to him, "We have found the Messiah," which is translated meaning Christ. And he brought him to Jesus. Now when Jesus looked at him, he said, "You are Simon, the son of Jonah. You shall be called Cephas," which is translated to Peter. So Jesus actually changed Peter's name from Sinai, Bar Jonah, which means son of Jonah, to Cephas, which is Peter. The following day, Jesus wanted to go to Galilee, and he found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses in the law and the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." And Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Like, in other words, must have been a bad neighborhood, like, can anything good come out of the ghetto if you're from the ghetto? Yeah, good things can. And Nathanael says, Then Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him, and he said, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit." So in other words, he knew Nathanael was a good and honest man. See, he could already see his heart, even though he hadn't really met him. And that's one of the things about God, is that he sees the inner person of your heart. So we can't deceive him. We might want to hide things from our family members or parents or whoever, and we can have hidden things in our heart, but God sees the heart. He sees the inner man, the inner woman. Aha. Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered and said to him, "Before Philip called you, you were under the fig tree, and I saw you." Now, because he's God, he was able to see him even though he was out of sight. He could see him under the fig tree. Nathanael answered and said to him, "Rabbi, you are indeed the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered and said to him, "Because I have said to you, I saw you under the fig tree. Do you believe? You will see greater things than these." And he said to him, "Most assuredly I say to you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man." So he was already prophesying the things that were about to happen once he, moved on in his ministry, and he was going to be crucified, and then the apostles were all there when he rose into heaven, and they saw this, they saw so many wonderful things. So this is a historical account, and Jesus is telling them what they can anticipate in the future. Isn't that cool? To have an eye into the future, to see what's going to happen. You ever wonder what your future might hold? Do you?
What about you, Ness?
I think I have my future figured out.
Okay. There's a saying that goes, man makes plans, but God laughs. What we want to not so much figure out our future, but to submit to God's will in our future, in our day-to-day life. You ever think about that?
I think about how differently it can go from what I anticipate.
Yeah, so you just take it a day at a time, and you walk and you talk with the Lord, and you just ask him to guide your path and guide your steps, and he will. How about you, Antonio?
I forgot what we're talking about.
You were drifting off.
I was drifting off. When
Oh.
she started talking about how she doesn't think about it that way.
You were thinking more about, in other words, you were thinking more about what Vanessa said and trying to figure out, what she was meaning
Yeah.
rather than what I was saying. So, okay, that's all right. It's good to think about that and understand what each other is trying to say or trying to say. Do you have any questions or any comments that you'd like to add?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what does the Bible say about the afterlife?
What does it say about the afterlife?
Yeah.
Well, it tells us that your eyes haven't seen, nor your ears have heard, all the good things that God has prepared for those that love him. Heaven is so fantastic that we in our mortal minds can't even begin to figure out what it would be like, or even if he was to describe it accurately, we couldn't possibly anticipate it. The only thing that I could say to you in a general way of speaking is the book of Revelation talks about the streets are paved with gold. There are gates made out of huge jewels. The colors are just beyond our imagination. And Jesus did say that when he was ascending into heaven, "I am going to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you might be also." And we are all guaranteed our own mansion in heaven. I think that is so cool. I mean, so many people strive for material possessions here, this life is so temporary, and heaven is forever. To live in that kind of luxury where we're walking on a street of gold, and all these fancy, unbelievable, we think a diamond ring is phenomenal, but diamonds and all kinds of precious gems all over, it's just unbelievable to even conceive of.
We so in heaven, like it's like covered with like a bunch of materialistic things?
No, I wouldn't say that. It says that we won't need any light in heaven because Jesus is the light.
Right.
He's the light of the world. There will be no darkness either. So so it's light. We won't need to sleep because we won't be tired,
Right.
And it also talks about the marriage supper of the Lamb, because we're considered the bride of Christ. As believers, we're part of the bride of Christ. So when we go to heaven after the rapture of the church, there will be the marriage supper of the Lamb. And Jesus will actually serve us. My husband always used to kid around about when I get to heaven, the first thing I'm going to do is have veal parmesan, because that was his favorite of all time, And he says, and Jesus is going to serve me veal parmesan, I don't know if we're going to have veal parmesan, but obviously we will be able to eat, because it talks about the marriage supper. And when Jesus came back after he died and resurrected, he was able to sit and eat food with the apostles. So at the heavenly body he had already taken on allowed him to enjoy food. So that's one of our favorite pastimes, I think, as Christians, is eating. I think being overweight is probably more acceptable than being a drunkard,
Yeah.
But anything in excess is not good, physically or spiritually. But so it's okay to enjoy good food, because we will be enjoying it in heaven. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. And this is Ann DeSanza and Vanessa and Antonio saying bye for now. See you next time. Did you wait? Okay, bye.